What up, BP fam? Wanted to do this quick video talking about our warm-ups, some of the pieces that are in there, why they're in there, if you do need to substitute, what might be some appropriate things to substitute. So starting off, I just want to mention that these two have an asterisk by them because they are not necessarily in every warm-up. Typically, these are carryovers from the 6-phase warm-up. And I know myself that was, it's an excellent warm-up, but it can be challenging to run in a group class. You also, maybe if you repeated it every day, people would, they would know and you could run through it quicker, but obviously we don't want to repeat the exact same warm-up every day. Now there is benefit to repeating certain parts of warm-ups, but we do want to have a little bit of novelty, kind of the right amount in there so that we can get through it quickly, but we're also hitting the stuff that as coaches we know that is super important to hit. So the soft tissue foam rolling, important to get blood flow to those primary movers that we're going to be using for the session, and the biphasic stretching that's going to be geared towards those tissues that we have just gotten blood flow to. So increasing that range of motion. For a squat day, deadlift, bench, we're going heavy. That's something that you're probably going to see. All right. This is something that's a little bit newer, the Primal Movement piece. Now, the reason why this is super important is because we're improving coordination when we work on Primal Movement. There are studies that show this by doing bear crawls, upward to downward facing dog with toe touch. Obviously, that we're not covering a lot of ground with a movement like that. But that was something that we started to do because of COVID, right? We had people working out in small boxes, and so it wasn't feasible to have somebody doing a bear crawl all across the floor. But now that things are back to normal largely, you'll probably start to see some more of those things included. But even an upward to downward dog with toe touch, we're walking out across the ground. We have some of those elements present that are improving coordination as well as, obviously warming up the wrist joint, the shoulder, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the importance of Primal Movement. The bands, the accommodating resistance, when we're doing dynamic effort, max effort, you know how important it is to get the nervous system ready for the challenge that's coming up. That doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a dynamic, a seated dynamic box jump, a plyo push-up, something like that. We can also accomplish that with accommodating resistance. Because the resistance changes throughout the range of motion, we're waking up the nervous system that way. So this can function, can take some of that off of our plate where we don't need to set up a box and a bench to do a seated dynamic box jump. For example, we could do a band resisted front squat and save a little bit of time in the warm-up. So that's why you've been seeing those. Obviously, the last piece is, whatever that main pattern is for the day, working that pattern, activating those prime movers, and making sure that we're good to go for the session that's coming up. I drew a line in between these last two right here because you want to think, like, this is kind of part of the warm-up, but basically we're moving into the main lift of the day at this point. And the reason that you've been seeing this one set of 5, 3 seconds down, 2-second hold is for both the coach and for the client. So for the coach, it gives us an opportunity to really see somebody moving through that movement slowly. And I can guarantee you that if somebody can't do a back squat, 3 seconds down, 2-second hold with the empty barbell, you might want to think about subbing that for a different movement rather than loading that barbell up, because there's just going to be compensatory patterns that they're getting away with by, adding some weight onto the bar and forcing their body into a position that it can't naturally get into with lighter loads. So not a great idea. The reason that we're holding in certain positions, I wanted to talk specifically about the deadlift. We add in that 1-second hold at the knee for the deadlift is because somebody who tends to lift more with the erectors, they're going to feel that more in their back. If they're holding that 1-second hold at the knee and that's uncomfortable, they're feeling it in their back, you definitely need to work on that pattern a little bit more so that they're able to do that comfortably, loading the hamstrings and the glutes rather than loading up the lower back for that 1-second hold in that tempo warm-up set for a sumo deadlift, an RDL, regular conventional deadlift, etc. So I hope that this sheds some light on the why behind a lot of the stuff that you're seeing in these warm-ups that we've tweaked and changed a little bit. As always, there are best practices, and then there are best practices in practice, and those can look a little bit different. So we're just trying to do the best that we can, obviously based on your feedback. So if you guys have any comments or concerns about something that you think would work better, what you'd like to see more of, what you'd like to see less of, please drop me a line in the comments, and I'd love to continue the discussion. So as always, thank you for watching, and excited to hear about the PRs that you guys had on Monday, and